Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today is Wednesday, December 7th. Make sure I got the date right. And it is also the night of the full moon for December. Now the full moon this year is in Gemini, so the emphasis is going to be on communication and healing of that level and working with your air energy as well. But traditionally, the full moon in December is called the cold moon. It's the bright light that breaks the longest of the nights of the year. The longest night of the year happens to be December 21st, which is the Yule holiday. And during this time, reflecting on what illuminates you is the theme. Even in the darkest times, there's always some form of light there. How do you show your illumination? How do you show that light that's within you? This is a time to examine what makes you shine. Also, if it illuminates you, you should share it. So this is a way to help you understand what it is that makes you unique, what makes you shine, and then it's also how can you share this with the world. So there's other names for this moon, and it is the long night moon, the winter's moon, the little spirit moon, because of the time of the year, the evergreen moon, because usually the only greenery you have during this time of the year in the northern hemisphere is the evergreen trees. The oak moon. The sun has traveled home to rest moon. So this is basically when the sun is taking a break, which when you realize just how short the days are in the northern hemisphere, you think that the sun really did take a vacation. But even though it's so dark and everything kind of seems dead, especially up north, if you've got snow to cover it, so you look out and you see white everywhere, if the snow's not there yet, it tends to be kind of barren and brown. There's always hope. And beneath that cold darkness, underneath that dead foliage, there is renewal, there's birth, but there's rest first. A time to heal from the busy active period that is spring and summer, and if you do a lot of your own processing of food, the fall is just as busy as the rest of the year. This is really the time to settle down, allow yourself that time to heal mentally, emotionally, physically in some cases. The energy of this moon is all about planting the seeds for the next year, allowing the surface actions to rest, allowing recovery so you can start to grow again and to start basically building the next year. This is a time to really be present in that now moment and understand where you are in life and what you want to create, where you've come from and where you're going. So in some cases, certain animals, and right now I'm feeling like I want to be one of these animals, it's a time for hibernation and reclusion, where you pull away from the outside world, you pull inside, you really do take that time to rest, recuperate, recover, reset, and take a new look at life. This is a reevaluation period. Anything that allows you to be reflective, to be contemplative, are the things that you want to work on during this time. So, this year, we'll do a little astrology. Not my strong point, but I can at least understand what I'm reading most of the time. This year, the moon's illuminating the lack of motivation. Mars went into retrograde sometime in October. I don't remember the exact date. And with that retrograde, if you are sensitive to stellar energies, or your zodiac signs, or your genetic line is aligned with Mars, you will notice that when that energy shifted in October, your motivation went right out the window. And so it's been a lot harder to keep going doing the daily chores. It's harder to do those creative talents. It's been harder to keep up with just the basics. You're not even adding extra at this point. It's just the basics. And so this Mars energy is telling you it's time to slow down. It's time to reevaluate. So this has been a preparatory thing going on for 2 months now. And during this time, the one thing that keeps coming forward when I have looked into this, when I've meditated on it, when I've talked to my guides, it's be gentle with yourself. And really be gentle during this full moon, because the intensity of the moon enhances all other zodiac or planetary energies. So Mercury and dramatic Venus are having a little bit of a tag team fight with each other, and that's bringing triggers. So you're going to be more sensitive this time of the year, especially with the full moon. And Jupiter, who loves to crack jokes and have fun, has decided to stir the pot a little bit. So during this period of time, this full moon energy right now, just be aware that things that might be in a normal situation, not a big deal, may flare up a lot faster right now. The beauty of it is Saturn is working with the sun and the moon to bring some stability. Now, if you've studied much into the planets or you've studied much into alchemy, Saturn is basically the old grandfather. He's the patriarchal head of the inner world's planet, Saturn to Mercury. And when he says, calm down, it's time to cool your junk, this is the energy that's coming forward right now. He's calling upon the sun and the moon to basically bring that enhancing energy, and let's bring some stability. So during this time, just be aware that you've got a lot of things going on energetically, and ways that you can kind of work through this excess energy and kind of bring it back down into a place you can control it easier and not feel quite so, flighty and up in your head, is to do things that make you more contemplative. Do the things that calm you down. Listening to gentle music, journaling, going for a walk, or if you cross-country ski, go out, do something like that. Something that's not so much physically exertive, but something that allows you to allow your mind to settle into a more calm state, a more of an alpha brain state versus the beta brain that never shuts up. And when you're doing that, start to think about what you want to create. You're bringing yourself down, you're calming down, but you're also looking ahead. You've got the new, basically the Celtic New Year starting on Yule. Well, not starting, it's continuing. But you have the rebirth of the sun coming at Yule, which is December 21st. And in reality, if we go back far enough, that's why we have Christmas, is they were trying to change the birthing of the sun to the birthing of the Son of God. It's whatever, but there is some historical references to that. Anyway, when you're going back to that period, you're looking at this time of new beginning. You're looking at this time of, now it's time to bring forth the creation that you want to create. You're not going to be manifesting anything into permanent status. These kind of goals that you're working on right now are the long-term intentions. It's like the New Year's resolutions, which we all are really good about for the first week or two of January and then throw them out the window. But when you're setting these up during these time periods, you're actually lining yourself up with universal energy, the God source energy, and it's saying, this is what I want to create in the next 12 months. Can you help me align with the process, take the next steps, show me how to achieve this goal? Take the time during this full moon to write those things down. Really get clear on what you're wanting to create, because on Yule, December 21st, you can actually start to set those intentions into action. So right now, it's all about getting those intentions clear. Not so much setting them, but getting them clear. What is it you want to create? You have about 2 weeks to figure this kind of slightly chaotic life out and figure out what it is you want to create in the next year. What is it that you want to bring forward from yourself, from your work, from your family, for your family in the next year, in 2023? You can work with journaling out intentions aligned to reflection. So reflect on what's happened this year, how far you've come, where are you going, what do you want? What have you achieved? Look at ways of doing development of the self, of your family, working with your business, finding ways that you can change to improve. Because development is what do you want to create, but you have to start with the change. So what is it that you're wanting to maybe get rid of this year? A habit you want to break, a new practice you want to bring in. Working with the focus towards peace just in general. Especially during this full moon, you have a lot of energy coming forward. You have all these different planetary alignments stepping forward. But what brings you peace? Really focus on that and think about it. Don't just scribble out an answer. Put your effort into it. What brings you peace? And once you've developed that concept, you can use that peaceful, calm state to work with development, to to work with change, with growth, with basically awakening the inner parts of who you are so that you can grow into this better, perfected version of you. I mean, we all have the opportunity to grow. Every day I'm finding something new that I could learn more from. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing here, is this is a way to help me explain the thoughts that go through my head and ways to work towards a better tomorrow, basically. When you're doing this, though, and this is something to think about, you're going to have those little nagging voices pop up. Might be images, I hear them in voice form. And when they pop up, they're going to tell you, you're not good enough. What are you doing? You can't change that. Why would you even attempt to try that? That's your shadow. That's the part of you that has been subconsciously attached, generally from a young age. So it's little things you pick up when you're little kids, and sometimes you don't even understand what you're hearing, but you take it into a negative context. Well, the more you do that, the more you shove those bad reviews at work, or those slighted comments at the Christmas party last year, or those inappropriate things that were said, maybe not even to you, but you took them personally and you added them to that shadow. The shadow becomes this big monster, this monkey that sits on your back and is constantly trying to pull you back, keep you depressed, keep you anxious, keep you bored down. Use the power of this full moon to start processing through that. What comes forward for you in this moment is what you need to work on now. Don't try to take it all on. You'll never survive that. No one does. But take on what comes forward. There's ways to work with releasing. There's ways to work with forgiveness. And a lot of what you have to do to work with your shadow, and it's not working to expel the shadow. You're not expelling the shadow. You're not expelling the ego. You're making it a part of your life so that you can take basically the lessons that were buried in that darkness and bringing that diamond out, where you can be like, oh, well, if I wouldn't have had that, I wouldn't be here. Well, that means that was a lesson. It was. So take and start working that direction. If you want some suggestions on how to kind of process releasing and forgiving, there's a video that was dropped called Releasing and Forgiving a couple of days ago. So if you go through that and check it out, you can find out some different angels to work with. Because really, when you're working in this kind of thing, having some spiritual aid on the other side is really important. Talk to God, talk to divine source, God energy, however you see that, and talk to your spiritual guides and counsel. That's the reason I recommend talking to the angels, because they are there to help support you. And on that note, but definitely do the work. It may be a struggle. I'm not going to deny that there's going to be some hiccups along the way, because we're human. That's what we do. We like to make drama. And even if it's not intentional, that's the funny part, is a lot of the times we don't want it, but we have an opinion and we take someone else's opinion the wrong way. Well, then it triggers this. So with that, just remember to be gentle with yourself. Don't take things personal, especially during this time of the year. And if you are looking at different things and you're trying to figure out what can I do to help release, or what is the purpose of doing this, like I said, check out the video I did a couple days ago. It goes over the process, some basic processes of releasing and forgiveness. And I purposely released that because we're coming into the Christmas season. This is a time where it can be amazing or it can be traumatic. And it all depends on what your history is. And if you haven't started to work through those processes, it's going to continue a pattern. So if you start to work through and work into that shadow aspect of who you are, and learn to release that. Learn to take the shadow and be like, stop fighting against me. What is it you want me to understand? Whether it be a family situation, a personal situation, if you're struggling with anything from finances to your sexuality, it's all of that stuff buried into that shadow. You just keep pushing more into that darkness, and then it becomes this monster that dictates your life. When you start to understand that, you can have the light of the moon, the gentle, loving, caring, compassionate light of the moon, that intuitive guidance that the moon offers you. to help understand that's why this happened. This is the lesson I learned, and this is how far I've come because of learning that lesson, unfortunately the hard way, but you learned the lesson. And so take what you can take at this moment and process it, work through it, work with your guides, and there's, like I said, there's suggestions in the other video of what to do to help process that. But the full moon this month is really about looking at what's happened in the past year, how far you've come, things you've accomplished, things you may not have accomplished, and what is it you want to create. Start to really process, what do you want to bring forward into this coming year? Get that list going, start to develop it, refine it down to phrases of 5 to 7 words. You don't want to write a paragraph for each intention. You want your intention to be short so you can actually keep up with it. And start working that direction. Start that process now. And then on Yule, you can actually offer those intentions and really set them in with things like vision boards, with doing wall art. I've seen some really cool stuff where people will digitally create on a plaque, print it out, have it all nice, and they hang it on the wall, and it's for the next year's intentions. So it's things like that you want to start working on and be ready on the 21st, because that's when you'll actually set these intentions. So let's take a little chat with the angels. I thought I saw a spider crawling across my wall, sorry. Let's take a little chat with the angels. We'll use the Angel Tarot here for a second, and just whatever messages the angels want to bring forward for us. And we'll probably pull a few cards, not too many. But right off the bat, we have the Page of Earth, scholarly, dependable, patient, and successful. Good news about financial matters, wanting to do something more challenging and a new area of study. There. So this is really saying, this is a time really to tap into that. What is it you're trying to create? What is it you can do to be more stable and more dependable? We have the Saturn energy that's really strong during this time. It's working with the energy of the sun and the moon to bring stability. What is it you can do to increase your knowledge, your wisdom in life and spirit? But also, how can you ground yourself to be in a more stable environment? The other card that fell out at the same time is the King of Fire, motivational, idealistic, ambitious, and charismatic. Focus, focus, focus. Communicate with vision, be a leader, and advice from someone creative. And that card really does tie in because you're trying to bring yourself in. You're grounding, you're trying to find some balance, but you have some of this more dramatic energy coming in from these other planets that's trying to distract you, to try to be, oh no, look over here, no, look over here, no, look over here. And it's this little bickery nonsense that goes on in our lives sometimes, especially when we're trying to develop a new spiritual practice, trying to set these new intentions, trying to create a new habit. It's almost like the people around you, and it's not a conscious thing in most cases, are doing everything they can to keep you from bettering yourself. Because if you better yourself, it makes them feel they need to do it too, which they probably should, but that's another story. So this King of Fire is saying, come on, we can do this. The Mars energy might be a little bit off for you, but the solar energy, which is more powerful, is coming in saying, come on, we got this, let's go. So really, this time is really about setting those goals, getting ready to make those intentions for the coming year, and clearing the stuff out. What habits do you want to create? What habits are you trying to get rid of? Work on that. And that's that ambition, that inner charisma. That charisma is that part that says, I got this. You know, they put charisma as a bad light in Hollywood in some cases, but really charisma is about being your authentic self to the point where other people are basically forced to like it, is how I like to look at charisma, because there's times, you know, those people don't want to like you, but because you're being your authentic self, they respect it, if nothing else. And one more card here is the Page of Air. Logical, honest, impulsive, and curious. Challenging information, delays, or changes to plans. Truth delivered without tact. So this is that little bit of a warning, because you've got Gemini Moon coming forward, working with the air energy. So you want to be honest. You want to be truthful. You want to be who you are. But be careful with how you come across. Truth delivered without tact means you're going to trigger those Mercury-Venus vibes where they want to have that little debate and the nitpicking turns into arguments that go nowhere. They're circular. And what this card is saying is work with the air energy. Find ways to bring that energy into a balanced state. Air's highest qualities are intellect and logic. Air's debased qualities are lightheadedness and frivolity. So you have to work for those higher energies, and what this card is saying is work towards those. You've got fire coming in saying, let's go, let's motivate you, let's get you focused on what do you want to create, let's get these intentions on paper so we can start working them down into a clear form. You've got the Page of Earth saying, let's study, this is that earth energy, it's very grounding energy, and which also ties into the Saturn energy. And this is ways to help you ground and connect. When you do this type of work, when you work elementally or you work planetarily through the zodiac, you eventually will develop a lot of unique ways to handle life. These are 3 energies, earth, fire, and air, that are active in the planets as well right now. Try to find ways to bring those into balance. And since you have the first 3, a good way to bring everybody into balance, find a way to bring in the water element. The water is your emotions. The water is that flow state. It's that washing away of the things that aren't working. So you can use these all 4 elements to really bring you into an aligned state. So hopefully that was some good information, or at least entertaining for you. Like I said, try to work on intentions for this full moon. If you get the chance, turn off all the lights, especially if you're up north where it's colder. Turn off all the lights and open a window, like the blinds. Don't open the window itself, it's cold outside. But open up the blinds and enjoy just feeling the moon on your skin in the quiet. Stare at the moon and see what she has to say. You might give you some insights into some stuff that you've been struggling with, and let that energy just kind of flow through you. And with that, I hope you have an awesome week. If you liked the video, go ahead and drop a like on it, comment any suggestions, ideas, even criticisms, as long as they're respectful. And if you enjoy what I'm bringing forward with the channel, I'd really appreciate the subscription. Other than that, I will talk to you guys later.